Welcome, everybody. We are now live and just waiting a few minutes, make sure everybody's in here, and we're going to get started with our session today. So if you are in the chat already, feel free to say hello and we'll say hi back. Let us know where you're from and what's your favorite thing to eat. That would be a little icebreaker right there. So, all right. Adriano is here from Exa, and I'm going to add him into the room. There you go, Adriano, welcome.
Hey.
We're gonna launch in 1 minute, and I was just asking if anyone was already in the audience to basically tell us what is their favorite food in terms of dessert. What's your, do you have a, yeah, Adriano, do you have a favorite dessert or anything like that?
I'd go for tiramisu. I think that's my favorite dessert.
Damn, that's exactly what I was going to also pick. So, well,
there's something about the coffee flavor, right?
Yeah, the coffee, the the texture, right? It's like the biscuits, the coffee, the mascarpone, all these beautiful flavors all at once. And yeah, my mom's tiramisu as an Italian person,
okay.
unbeatable for sure. So, all right. So here we are. It's 2 p.m. my time. I guess it's 12 or something. I don't know. Where are you based? Tell us, Adriano.
We're in San Francisco right now. So 12 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah.
12 p.m. Perfect. Spot on. So thanks for joining us here today. This is the first time doing a webinar with Exa. Hopefully, if this one goes well, we'll do more with you guys if you're up for it. And we want to talk about AI, agents. We want to talk about Exa. We want to talk about Toolhouse. And I have prepared a very small presentation here to go alongside with our, and I see Vishal also joined the stage here. Let's see if we can add him so he can join us. There's 3 of us. Hey there, you're live. How you doing?
Doing well. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I see we all have glasses, a little bit of a scruff going. We're like the typical AI company employee here.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah. So are you also based in San Francisco?
Yeah, that's right. I think I'm sitting very close to Adriana right now.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
Very close to each other, yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully no echoes and none of that stuff. And now I'm going to share my screen and get us started here. So present screen. And I don't have a second monitor, but that's okay. We don't need that. I wonder if this is it. Yes, this is it. So I didn't know, Vishal, that you were joining us. So there's no name for you on the slides. I hope you don't mind too much.
not at all. Totally fine.
I'm sorry about that. I apologize for not including you, but this is we could always do it last second. So I'm using Canva for my slides. I'm just selecting the right screen here. Just doing that now. All right, doing it again. All right, perfect. So here we go. And hopefully everybody can see the slides. I think we are. I have a preview, so we should be good to go. So first of all, thanks for joining us. Thanks to the Exa team for being here. We truly wanted to talk about what Exa does, how we've partnered with you guys in terms of the API. We use it as a function call to LLM, and we provide it for everybody to use. So today is the 26th, so let's get started. A little overview about what we want to talk about. There's going to be an intro, like who we are, and again, apologize for not having a slide on you, but you can do it, like we'll do it live kind of style. And then we're going to talk about agents. What can you do today? What are they? Do people know about them? Et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to show a small demo where we are using Exa to do research as an SDR. Then we're going to talk about Exa and some maybe more advanced use cases and just have like a little fireside chat. And then if there are any Q&A, we're going to answer them and then kind of wrap it up. So how does that sound? Everybody good with that? Sweet, I love it. All right, so moving on. So I'll introduce myself first since I am the MC today, and then you guys feel free to do that. My name is Orlando. I'm one of the co-founders of Toolhouse. And what Toolhouse is, it's an infrastructure platform to help developers basically give superpowers to LLMs. And the way we do that is through our first product. It's a tool store, which allows any developer to install the superpowers like Exa. Like doing a function call and calling the Exa endpoint, and then basically allowing your LLM to use that information that has been extrapolated from Exa and using it for doing further actions or just as a knowledge base. And so if you're interested, feel free to check us out at Toolhouse.ai and or join our Discord. And so, Adriano, tell us a little bit about yourself, Exa, and then Vishal, of course.
Yeah, I'm an engineer here at Exa. I work on the platform, and at Exa, we're basically, as you so well put it in the slide, the search engine for AI. So, a lot of people build on top of us using our platform. They build agents on top of us. They build products on top of us, and we allow your AI to have access to the world's knowledge on the internet. And so you can imagine, anything you are doing that requires your AI to get knowledge that it does not already have in its brain, we are a good tool for you to use for that.
Amazing. All right. And sorry, no slide. Vishal, feel free to jump in here. Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, very, very happy to. I'm the head of product here at Exa. I also handle our technical go-to-market function. I think Adriano put it really well insofar as what Exa does. So maybe no additions there, no notes from me, but very excited to be here and talk more about the application with Toolhouse.
Perfect. Sweet. Thank you so much. And now let's talk a little bit about this world that we live in, right? Like this agentic world. Like everybody has now heard the word agentic world, AI agents. I think it's been the buzzword for the last maybe 6 to 12 months. Whereas before, it was all about just like AI and LLMs and generative AI, right? And so, how I think you guys have a lot of like context into this agentic world, and specifically because I think the co-founders of Exa have worked on this problem for quite a while, like being able to retrieve information to give to AI. So do you have anything that you can maybe add about, how Exa got started, if you know, or anything of this sort?
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in here. So I think our goal at Exa is to provide the best interface into the world's knowledge and organize the world's knowledge in an AI native and AI ready way. What that means is, old paradigms of your typical Google Bing style search are not suited to that, right? They're kind of
Yeah,
around an
absolutely.
SEO paradigm and built around engagement and clicks from a person typing at a keyboard. So I think when we're thinking of an agentic world and looking forward at, what these cool and powerful tools can do, what's the best way to surface information and knowledge to them? That's the problem statement we're working with and what we're trying to build for.
Got it. Okay. And Mahesh, we're gonna do a Q&A at the end. Sorry, this is a comment from the stage. I mean, from the audience. So you can write a question and we can answer it later, and then you can watch the video, or you can stay up all night and party with us because we're gonna be here for the next 25 minutes. So maybe you have time. So, all right, cool. The question we'll answer it later if you don't mind. So with that being said, thank you, Vishal. Exa is incredible. Like the things that you can do, like getting content from pages, getting like search results. I've also seen in your UI, you can get things like information from Twitter, etc., etc. So how does that really help the agentic movement, right? My perspective is that because an AI agent without knowledge, of the real world is nothing. And so, do you agree with that statement? Would you say that that's how Exa can help AI agents to be, I would say, more complete, right? Like their significant other is knowledge, right? And so, is that a good statement to put out? Like Exa does complete in that sense, AI agent
Yeah,
workflows.
yeah. The way I think about Exa, agents, generative AI, we're going from a paradigm where LLMs are just generating the next token to actually taking actions in the world. And in order to take
Mhm.
those actions, they will have to reflect on that action, get more information, take the next step. And once you go from everything in the context of the LLM is generated or it's pre-computed to I have to actually get new things at runtime, then Exa comes in and says, okay, if you need to get stuff from the internet, which is how you'd get most information, then we are here to give you that information. And you can use our platform in a way that LLMs are very adapted to, which is just natural language. The LLM will produce a
Right.
natural language query to retrieve whatever it wants for its use case, and it can also configure some parameters, of course. And at that point, we will give you information that allows you to take the next step. So that's
Right.
why it's more useful for agents, because agents, they take the next step and the next step and the next step. If you were just generating one response, it's less useful because there's it's still useful for one step, but it's less useful than an agent that needs to continuously get more information.
Cool. Vishal, do you have to add something to that, or are you happy with that take?
No, I think that's brilliant. I think the like non-engineer response here might be something like LLMs are brains, right? But a brain in
Yep,
a vacuum or a brain on Mars is no good, right? It needs to have real contact with the real world to be useful to people and their use cases and applications. And so that's really what
absolutely.
we're trying to solve for here.
Yeah. And the beauty, one of the things I noticed when working with the Exa API and SDK has been you can deliver that content, that Exa provides to the agents or to the LLM in different formats, right? You have a plain text, you have a JSON response. Is that right? Do I remember that right? And so, as AI agents are used to like centralize information from different sources, really, there's two things the developer has to do is to pick a good um, tool or function calling associate, whatever you want to call it, to basically get that information and then create a good piece of software that will use that information accordingly. So we're going to see in a minute how you can sort of build something like an SDR agent to help you out do some research. SDR is the sales development representative, right? It's basically someone that helps you figure out your sales pipeline. But let's talk a little bit more about agents and how do they work. Like, how do you guys see the world evolving in this agentic world that we're going towards? Are they going to be more, less, bigger, smaller size? What's your old stake for agents?
I can jump in with a quick thought just around, I guess, the complexity of the tasks, right? Even
Yeah,
in our day-to-day work, the bigger, the more complex the task is, breaking it down, thinking step by step, working through it in that way. All of these things that are sort of representative of the way an agent would work and an agent would be defined in this paradigm, I think just leads itself to more complex tasks being able to kind of being approached by different AIs and language models. So I think that's probably the
absolutely.
big piece here and the big unlock. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of stuff around that too, around like observability, visibility of chains of thought and whatnot.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just the big goal here is really being able to tackle these big, complex, multifaceted tasks.
Yeah, and so I agree with that. I think there's going to be a world where there's going to be many more agents than humans, and like you said, some agents will be able to like spin up and do small tasks and then disappear into the aether, and then larger agents will probably stick around a little bit more and kind of be orchestrators of smaller agents. So it's going to be extremely interesting how in the world we're going to evolve into this. And one thing, when we talk about evolution, there's one thing that I think everybody in the audience wants to know is like, you know, search today is a huge revenue channel. And so if LLMs use tools like Exa through function calling, what is going to happen to companies that are now today making money from those manual human searches? Do y'all have a perspective or maybe some insight into that?
Yeah, I can comment on that. So I think to some extent, some of the incentives align. If you think about some of the incentives are similar. So agents also have attention, and they also are doing valuable things. And some people will want to have their website be on the agent's eyes, so to speak, on its context.
Yeah,
So
visible.
some
Yeah,
of those incentives are similar. One of the structurally different things about Exa, though, is we fundamentally do not sell advertising. So our business model
absolutely.
is to sell to other companies, and so we are aligned on the incentives with the people building on top of us, because um, you are the ones paying us. If you build on top of us, you are the ones paying us. So we want to provide you with the best possible results. We don't want to give you results that someone has paid for us to show you.
Exactly.
um, and so that fundamental alignment is makes our platform better to build on top of. Besides just being better as a product and giving you better results,
Uh-huh.
the alignment makes it more safe for you to build on top of us versus building on top of some other provider like Google or Bing, one of the big ones, because they are a consumer search engine and their revenue stream comes from consumers. It does not come from um, it comes from the companies paying to be in front
Of
of the
course.
consumers' eyes. It does
Right.
not come from the consumers themselves. Yeah.
That's spot on. And as we've seen, I've seen people on Twitter, I mean X now, people on LinkedIn, they're saying, "Oh, I'm not using Google as much anymore," just to name one, or Bing or DuckDuckGo, and all of those platforms are search engines from the old world, right? Where they make money with ads, right? And so now, as this world is shifting towards more and more AI agents doing tasks for us, as humans, we are less, we're seeing less and less ads potentially if we keep using these agentic tools. And so a lot of people are telling, I'm trying to think of like how companies who are in the old world have to adapt to the new world to still keep the revenue up, which is going to be very interesting. I know for a fact that, for example, Perplexity, although again, it's not an agentic first platform, they're trying to add some ads for some sponsored results or sponsored questions. So very different, of course, from Exa, but it's interesting to see the dynamics of the world, how they move. And then, okay, my last question is like maybe maybe y'all have experienced a lot of AI agent. You've seen what people have been building with Exa. Do you have any maybe examples of something that has stood out from maybe your Discord or your community or potentially some other sources?
So I think we're going to talk about an SDR example, so I won't go
Yeah.
there. That's
Okay.
definitely one we see a lot of. Another example has been around regulation tracking. So agents to actually monitor, track, and bubble up the latest on a particular basket of regulations in a niche or area.
Uh-huh.
That's something we've seen a customer raise relatively recently, and I thought it was a really cool example of you know again automating away a bunch of like tedious work around checks and balances, but also just improving the outcome of this person's workflow, right? They can be more sure that more parts of the time they're making the right call with respect to those particular regulations. So an interesting use case there around a regulation agent.
Got it. Perfect. Okay. Adriano, do you want to add anything else, or are you happy with that? Happy
All
with
good.
that. All right. So I would say let's go into a small, short, sweet demo of Exa and Toolhouse. And I have prepared something for this. So let me just switch out a couple of screens here. All righty. So I will do that. And so, okay, while I set this up, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about the SDR use case. So as most of like doing sales is it's very time consuming. You have to search left and right into the web for information about companies, people, etc., etc. And so is there a better way to do that from a centralized, almost like console, where you could potentially do all of your work from one place? And the answer is yes, you can. You can build yourself something like an AI agent that does and help with SDR. And so I built something here, which I'm sharing now. Here we go. So I'm gonna walk you through this, and maybe I'll show you some code later. And I'm actually gonna reboot this, so it's clear. Can you guys confirm that you can see my screen? Okay, perfect. All right. So I'll say, okay, so Toolhouse, this is our playground. What I mean by that, it's like we are basically giving you the option to use Toolhouse, which is this AI platform for developers to use tools like Exa and add it to your code base really quickly, and then we take care of making sure all the magic is done, and so you don't have to do a lot of code. And so I'm gonna talk to you about this specifically thing. So in our playground, on the left-hand side, you have a list of installed tools, but I don't want to just take all of the tools. I want to take a subset of tools. When you want to talk and just give your LLM a subset of tool, you use a thing that we call a bundle. So I created a bundle which is called Exa, and in a second it will refresh and it will show you what I put inside of the Exa bundle. Of course, you can tailor your bundle to be anything you want. You can have Exa, you can have, here for example, I also have the send email tool, etc., etc. And the reason why you bundle these things together is because you just basically pre-package them for a specific use case. You can also see that you can choose between different types of models. Here I chose Claude, and here we go. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I pretend I'm an SDR, and I'm going to say something like, okay, I want to find maybe some companies that are in my area. I'm based in Austin, Texas, and that have raised money recently. So I'm gonna use this prompt that I just copy pasted into here. And as you will see in a second, the LLM is going to, understand my query, and then using the Exa web search tool, which we are hosting on Toolhouse, but which ultimately uses the Exa service, you can see, there you go. This is exactly what I wanted to show you. The ability to get information from the web through Exa, thanks to Exa, without me having to do any work. And now you could say this is a very simple prompt. I am not an SDR, but there are way more specific prompt that you could get into, and you could do that, as simply as using Toolhouse, using Exa, spinning up the playground, and then basically choosing which tools you want to use and crafting your own prompt. So here we can see, for example, that Exa gave me some results. There's some companies in Dallas that raise this amount of money. There's other companies that raise a certain amount of money. And now I could say, I have another prompt here, and that shows you the power of using LLMs from a centralized view to do all of my work. I'm going to say, now imagine I'm cold calling startup founders in my area, create a potential script, making sure to, and then a list of requirements. And what's going to happen here, it's going to generate, the LLM is going to generate like this, this script that I can then use to call potentially one of these companies that were listed from the results returned by Exa. Okay, this is pretty cool. And now I'm going to show you just another function call. This is a pretty brief demo where I'm going to ask the LLM. I would say, please write a short cold email to the first company you found, and send that email to, and I'll just put my own email address here, Toolhouse.ai, with subject line as potential partnership. All right. And so now what's going to happen is we're going to use another tool, which is our own send email tool. And the LLM is going to take the information that it scraped from, it didn't scrape. It learned that information by using the Exa tool, and it generates an email with that data that it just gathered. And so, okay, so we can see that it's used the send email tool, and I asked it to send an email to myself. And then I'm gonna also now change views here in a second to see if that email gets here. And let's see, I'm having a little issue with my Gmail. It seems it's not responding. That's not great. Oh, yeah, there's been an error also. Okay, so the demo was potentially gonna send an email out to me, but the send email tool did not work right now. I'll investigate that later. But the Exa search worked really well. So this is kind of like the high level demo from the user perspective. And now maybe I can dive just 2 minutes into what the code looks like for this. And so I'm going to do just that now. Let me just stop sharing this and present this. Alrighty. So this is the code for the playground that I was just showing you now. There's a lot of code here, but let's focus on what matters and how we leverage Exa for this. So the first thing you're gonna see here is, we obviously import the Toolhouse SDK. This is Python code. So if you're not familiar with that, bear in mind that we're gonna release a JavaScript SDK soon for this. So we import Toolhouse, and then really the important thing here is the ability for Toolhouse to give this line here, this is at least one of these lines, the get tools. So what does get tools do? Get tools basically queries the tool store inside of Toolhouse and specifically requests a bundle. And as we've seen before, the bundle that I was requesting was Exa, right? And inside the bundle, I had the Exa web search tool and I had the send email tool, the one that failed and didn't work out. So why is that important? Because the LLM using the thgetTools call will now know, the LLM will know which tools it can use to achieve the task. This is the true agentic workflow, right? It's like you have a certain objective as a human, you start an LLM, you give it some tools, and then you leverage this tool to do certain work. And some of these tools can be used automatically and some manually if you decide to use a chat interface. And so this is basically where, that happens. So now the LLM knows it has the tools, and every tool has a different schema, right? So like when we implemented the Exa search into Toolhouse, we created a schema so that the LLM can understand exactly how to use this tool. But with Toolhouse and with this approach with literally 3 lines of code, you import Toolhouse, use get tools to give knowledge of what tools the LLM can use to the LLM, and then the last thing is the run tools. And so with run tools, what happens is it's basically saying to the LLM, okay, I'm gonna take this request that you want me to execute and I will run it and then give you the results back. And so by using this loop, you can create any sort of agents depending, kind of like mix and matching with tools that you might like. You might like, search results from Exa. You might like sending emails. You might like maybe like scraping data from a specific page with Exa. Again, Exa has a lot of, interesting endpoints that we also expose on the tool store by Toolhouse. So, okay, so this is just a little deep dive into the code and how this, the logic works. So super simple, literally 3 lines of code, or you just go on GitHub and get our, playground and start hacking from there. So with that being said, I'm going back to the slides and we're going to talk a little bit about X advanced use cases and stuff like that. Does that sound good, Adriano and Vishal? All right, I like your thumbs up. Sounds good. All righty. So here we go. So here now it's going to be a little, almost like a, what do we call it? Like a little masterclass from Exa, where I want to talk a little bit more about advanced use cases with Exa. So here we go. Who would like to give us a couple of maybe examples of things that you've seen you can do with Exa, with when you use the Exa SDK, or maybe just through typical REST. Yeah, just let's brainstorm a bit here. Okay, Adriano, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. Maybe I can present my screen.
All right, sweet. And to do that, I shall remove my screen, so maybe you get access to it.
Vishal, you want to go? I don't have my permissions correctly set up. I'm getting some issue here.
Yeah, I can just maybe talk about a couple of advanced use cases.
Yeah.
I think like a kind of basic or obvious use case for web RAG, as we kind of call it, using Exa, is just creating a generation based on some retrieved documents and their contents. Extending on that, we actually have a different use case which we consider writing completion. So you can imagine setting
Okay.
up a generative workflow such that a user can start typing. We actually can run Exa searches in the background to pull in, using that first pass of whatever the writing piece is, using that as a starter
Okay.
point to say, hey, what's an Exa? What's a result? What's a search result that we would want to see that would help continue writing this piece of work? And by post-pending
Awesome.
that snippet or that string against a current piece of writing, you can actually get some really useful and, I would say, relevant contents based on X's web search to then continue on providing citations and continue on generating particular content that you might be working on. And we've seen this applied in a few interesting and different ways. From kind of research to more business presentations. But yeah, I mean, I guess if there's a follow up post this session, we're happy to kind of point to our documentation on this advanced use case as well.
Absolutely.
It's not obvious out of the box. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I'd love to add any reference you might have into the description and in email, etc., etc. Welcome back, Adriano. I wonder if you can hear us.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I don't know if I am the one who's having internet issues here, or if your connection at the office might be laggy right now.
I can hear you, Adriano. I'm not sure if.
Yeah, I think from my end everything is fine. But there might be problems at the office for some reason. Can you hear me now? Oh, I think Orlando is frozen, I believe.
Yeah, he's frozen on my end too, but we are on the same internet.
Can the chat confirm if you guys can see us? Oh, I think Orlando's back.
I'm actually, I can hear you guys, but I can't see you y'all's moving. So seems to be some
the chat
okay, I think we're back. I think we're back. All right. I think the chat has I love that. Okay, I'm fully back. The Cloudflare office where I'm at right now has granted me another chance. So thank you so much, internet people, especially because I'm at the Cloudflare office. So thank you so much, the internet Cloudflare people, for granting me another chance here. So here we're back. And so, Adriano, do you want to share something?
Yeah,
I don't remember if
some interesting use cases. So one interesting use case is if you're building a chatbot that's going to help people with code, or it's going to code itself. One thing it can do is it can look for documentation on whatever libraries it needs, or it can even look for the libraries themselves, because that's one thing we're particularly good at compared to other search engines. Is you can just kind of vaguely ask what you're looking for, and you get a list of libraries that might be useful to you. Or you can even specifically ask for tutorials about those libraries, and you'll get a list of useful tutorials instead of SEO optimized slot, which commonly appears on Google.
And is there a way where you can perhaps maybe you're like really a huge fan of medium.com, which I don't think anybody is, but can you like limit the search that Exa performs to retrieve only a subset of domains?
Exactly. You can. We have an option, include domains, I believe it's the name, and we also have exclude domains. So you can limit the
Oh,
search
great.
to a subset of domains. You can hard code that, or you can even tell your LLM that it can choose what domains to search for specifically if it has that knowledge
Amazing.
built in.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. Another thing I noticed exploring, Exa while I was integrating it on for Toolhouse, was that you can limit the amount of research results and also some stuff around the date of a publication or maybe retrieval. I'm not sure which one. Can
Yeah,
you maybe?
if you're looking for recent things, you can say, "Hey, I only want things that were published in the last week," something like that. It depends on your query, whether that's appropriate or not. And also, you can also see, this is something some of our customers do. You get a ton of results. You pass all of those to the LLM, and then let the LLM decide which ones are relevant. That is also something you can do if you're trying to trying to sift through a large amount of possible data. You can do that. We're working on something better there, which I'm not sure if we're announcing yet, but yeah.
Ooh, what does Vishal has to say? He's the head of product.
Wait,
Yeah,
that's a
you're
wait.
gonna no.
Wait and see, guys.
It's like stop, cut the live stream.
just
All right, guys.
a small teaser.
Like a teaser. So we know for a fact that something big is coming out, but we're not going to talk about it today. That's okay. We'll keep this for the next live stream that we're going to do together. Hopefully around the same time when you release it, and maybe we can build something. And maybe that time the demo gods will allow me to do a little better presentation. So, all right, perfect. Do you have anything else you want to add, Adriano, about maybe use cases, advanced stuff you can do with Exa? Otherwise, let's jump into Q&A. I think there were one or
Yeah,
two questions.
one small thing that I would like people to
Yeah.
to think about is the way you use Exa as a search engine doesn't have to be how you use the other search engines of the past. We are fundamentally
Okay.
better at some types of queries in a way, so it enables new use cases.
Okay.
I'd like to show you an example.
Of course.
It's an example that we have prominent on our demo. Let me know if you can see the website.
We
You
can
can see my
see
screen.
Arc. We can see your screen. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So one thing that we're particularly better at is when you're asking for examples of, you have a vague question and you want a list of those things. So if you see Exa here, I asked for startups working on genetic sequence, and you see a list of startups working on genetic sequence, right? I could also, go more narrow, try to find startups working on genetic sequence related to something else, like in San Francisco or in London or something else. I'll show you now an example of doing this in Google, and you will see a stark difference in
Okay.
results here. So you can see here that if you go on Google, you don't get actual startups. You get listicles that
Right.
have been optimized for Google. And so whenever you look for this kind of thing on Google, you will always get a compiled list that has been optimized to show up in your Google results. Probably even paid ads that people are paying to show up in
Right.
specific or similar sounding query.
You're
So I think
absolutely right.
fundamentally,
No,
yeah,
you're
if
absolutely
you think
right. Like
about,
when I was
yeah,
doing the SDR demo last night, when I was trying to think how does an SDR do their work, I started looking for like startups in Texas that just raised some money. And when I did the search in Exa, I got immediately results from exactly what I was searching. When I was doing research on Google, it was like paid, uh, you know basically CEOs that paid to be at the top of the results to talk about their startup, even though it wasn't truly what I was looking for. And so you're absolutely right. What you just shown is the absolute truth that as an LLM, if I were in the shoes of an LLM, I don't want to go and read articles that are not relevant to what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be efficient. So with Exa, I can be efficient, whereas as a human, or if I were just wrapping around Google somehow, I would not be able to get that.
yeah,
Right?
and it's related to how we do our search. Our
Yeah.
search is neural, so it's learned, and we're trying to interpret your query in a way that we're giving you exactly what you want versus what fits the ad pool or the SEO
Right.
optimized things. Yeah.
Do you have a word for this? Do you call it like maybe curated, or do you have a what do you use internally as a word? Do you have something like that?
Vishal, any ideas here?
Maybe I'm trying to.
No, if I think I understand the question, like oftentimes we call our search semantic based or prioritize it semantic.
Semantic based.
So it's kind of prioritizing the search based on the meaning behind your query and matching that against content on the web, as opposed to things that may be outside of content, things like whatever PageRank might optimize around. That's not to say
Right,
things might not be interesting and useful, and actually within the
right.
purview of a future version of Exa Search, but it's just kind of a different starting point insofar as how we are thinking about what an LLM.
Yeah,
I liked your analogy of like if you were an LLM, what would you really want to see, right? And what would you really
exactly.
ingest? I think that's very much in alignment with how we've thought about building a product.
Yeah. All right, sweet. Thank you so much for showing us these advanced use cases, this answering these questions, and let's get back to the last part of our presentation. I think we're like 10 minutes over time here, so sorry and apologies for that. And so let's do some Q&A. Let's see, what do we have here? So the first question we got was, testing AI agents are taking more tokens. Any suggestions? I guess the question here is, uh, testing an AI agent is expensive potentially in terms of tokens. Do we have any suggestions to improve that? Hmm. Or maybe you can clarify the question. And if anyone has anything to say about that, or let's table it for a second and see if there's any other question.
Yeah, one thing you
Uh,
can, it doesn't stop more tokens, but it can save you costs, is you can use, you can make more constrained, smaller agentic tests where you're accomplishing simpler tasks versus your broader, more complete set of tasks that you're selling to your users. And you can have smaller LLMs, cheaper LLMs, try to accomplish those tasks. And then you can assume that, okay, if my cheaper LLM can solve these constrained tasks, at least those tasks will generalize. And then you can have a pipeline where at the end of when you're actually pushing to users, you do a final test with the big LLM on the big tasks. And then you try to reduce the amount of times you do that. That's one way to save on costs, not on token amount. But I'm
yeah.
assuming that the question is related to the cost and not specifically the
Yes.
token amount, right?
Yeah.
Another way you
The
can do
full.
it is self-hosting. You can
Yeah.
try to self-host the LLM.
Exactly.
That is hard. It's complicated. Might not be appropriate for a startup. But once you start to scale big, you might want to self-host for testing to reduce those costs.
Yeah. And that being said, using tools like Olama or the recently, I think yesterday, Meta Stack came out, you can host models which are very, very good. Now, I'm not saying they're the top of the game, they're not the top two or three, but they're very good. And so for testing purposes, you can just run inference locally on maybe, like you said, Adriano, like smaller models or perhaps just like powerful models, but locally hosted. All right. And then a couple of quotes here. Adam has been asking some questions. There's this one. I like this one. I don't think letting LLMs choose what is best from a huge chunk of data is ideal at this time. So that's exactly what Exa also solves, right? It's like it gives you the exact information that you need rather than like what Google tries to push down every user's throat, so to speak, to be kind of figurative. Okay, another question from Adam. Toolhouse provides access to different tools, but how do you handle discoverability of said tools? Example, a new user may not know of Exa and what it can do. Great question. So Toolhouse, our first product, is the tool store. And basically, we have maybe like 20 to 30 tools right now. So there's not a lot because we vouch every tool. But how do we handle discoverability? Well, right now, because we're behind closed doors, we have basically a search bar and you just type what do you want to do, what do you need the tool to do, and you kind of get a result. So if you were looking for scraping or web searching, Exa would be one of the options, right? In the future, we're gonna open up the platform, have more like SEO like pages, so like anyone who browses the internet can find out about tools on Toolhouse. and also create ways for users to upvote, downvote certain tool and leave reviews, which might be helpful long term, just like Airbnb reviews are helpful or something like that. So hopefully that answers that one. Let's see if there are any other questions. Yes, Adriano.
Maybe I can talk a little bit about this as well. We have the same problem. I think everyone's having this problem. Like, how do you show users what your platform can do once they're already interested, right? And I think at Exa we've noticed that we've recently released a chatbot interface for discovering our product on the dashboard, and actually the usage there has been quite good, and the chatbot is quite good. I think this is what we're trending towards: is that discoverability will be driven by LLMs uh, connecting the documentation and what they know about the product with your specific use case and guiding you through that implementation, all the way down to actually writing some code for you that deals with your specific use case. And retrieval there is very important. So doing correct RAG implementation for your tools, your docs, and even retrieval on embedding search might also be useful there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think in the future we're gonna see like companies like Toolhouse and whoever else is tackling this problem, figuring out a way to create like AI LLM function calling catalogs, right? Which is probably a way to centralize useful tools that LLMs are going to be using. And so it's going to be a tool not built for humans, but so much for LLMs, because at the end of the day, LLMs are doing the hard work. All right. There's another comment here. And yeah, thank you, Adam, for the question. Mahesh, one way to make your product popular is to make it less costly for startups. Yes, I think as developers, we all love a free tier. And so does Exa have a free tier today?
So when you
Yes.
sign up for Exa, you get $10 worth of credits. There's also
Perfect.
a gamified experience through the dashboard. So as you make your first request, as you create new API keys and do other administrative tasks to your account, we credit you further, just to kind of give you an idea of all the different things you can do on our platform. Having said that, if there's need for credits and you're a small startup, you can reach out to us. We do have like a startup credit program, but often what that means is we'll jump on a call, hear about your use case and what you're trying to build, and kind of go from there. But encourage folks to reach out if that's a priority.
Yeah. And we're going to add links to reach out to Exa also in the description and wherever else we can. We could potentially, yeah, I think the description will be good. I think that wraps up everything. I don't see any more questions. Unlike Exa, we just you don't have to talk to us. Scan this QR code and you get credits. For $1, we're running this promotion where you can get $150 worth of credits. So this is my sales pitch for today. Any last words, Vishal or Adriano? Otherwise, let's wrap this up.
No, just thank you for setting this up, and thanks to everyone watching. Excited to see what people build with Toolhouse and Exa.
Absolutely.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing that. Good luck, guys.
That is it.
Reach out if
Yeah.
you need any help.
Reach out to the Exa team. They have an amazing Discord where Vishal does a lot of community work, where he talks to users, helps them out, and a lot of other people around the Discord too. If you're interested in Toolhouse, reach out to us. We also have a Discord. Our websites are on the page here. And have a great Thursday or Friday, depending on your time zone or potential. I think, yeah, that's it. There's no more time zones to that. And we will see you in a hopefully next webinar when Exa releases some new stuff. And have a great one. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much. See ya. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.